There we see there. That was the screenshot I was looking for, and so that's for Walter Bosley's books. We're going to be all doing an episode with Walter coming up. It'll be my third with him, and last stream we did last week, he was in the live chat, and we brought it up, and that will be one epic show because he does do a lot of investigation into lost, ancient, highly advanced civilizations, as well as the UAP UFO phenomenon and his experience as a special agent investigator for the Air Force and his father's history with it. And there's so much disclosure coming out right now. Sorry to get off topic, but I just got to do a quick plug for everything with the UAP and UFO stuff. The Ashton Forbes MH370, which also those videos, I remember watching them in 2014 when it came out. It was like on before its news website, and I was like, man, that shit's got to be fake aliens. Like, but then it's like now, from a new perspective, it's like the Pentagon has acknowledged those Tic Tacs are real, and it was like those were the Tic Tacs, and then like the movement of them, the thermals and everything. It's just like if you listen to Dr. Bob Greenier of the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project break down the videos and just the intricate physics of it, which I instantly recognized it, and I'm like, this is too complex to be like just some random fakery. Like it's showing the actual like inner workings of this cold fusion aspects of the entropy of the technology that isn't really like it's classified and hasn't really been acknowledged or shown before. And it's like it's fully up there and in it, and the only reason you're seeing it is because it's from these high grade military spy satellites and this QR or Reaper drone footage of the infrared of it as well. That it's absolutely nuts. And it's like the quality of it, it's like for that sort of footage to come out 4 days after the MH370 went missing, and like it's just too complex and too legitimate to be a hoax from that time period now that I'm reflecting back on it. Yeah, so anyways, he did an interview with Salvador Payas, and alien scientist Jeremy Reese has an interview coming up with Salvador Payas on the 12th here in 3 days that I'm also going to be co-streaming on my channel. Probably get to ask him some questions at the end. And he is the former Navy engineer, now Space Force employee that has the patents for the essentially Tic-Tac technology for the Navy, I believe is how it officially goes. Yeah, so it's quite fascinating, interesting, and I look forward to that.
The drip of disclosure has become a little bit faster.
A flow, right? It's just, and yeah, so, and that's most likely Tic Tacs are drones, they're AI programmed, and they are most likely terrestrial, human, or something.
This is interesting you say this. When I was in Egypt in 2018, I had an experience. We were all on the Nile cruise. We were sitting on the rooftop, sharing cigarettes and having drinks, and all of a sudden we hear aircraft coming over the Nile area. So we're all on a Nile cruise going from Luxor to Aswan, and whizzing by us are these 2 F-15s, and they're chasing an orb.
Really?
Yeah, witnessed
that.
Yeah, and then
because I've seen footage of that.
It's like there were like 10 of us that witnessed this. A friend of mine has she has photos of it. Behind it is another orb just bobbing along, going, "Hello, here we are." Now, what's funny with this is this was in. When was I in Egypt in 2018? It was like March or April. And at the same time here in Oregon, there was something that flashed on the radar. And we have at the Portland International Airport is one of, anyway, there's Air Force technology there, and so they scrambled their jets and chased this orb all the way up past Olympia, and it literally was on the same day. And so you've got to ask yourself, okay, is this test technology? So we're using these high fast drones to test the accuracy of our human pilots. Is how I look at that in a sense. But that's my experience.
That makes perfect sense.
Total sense.
And that sounds like what also happened at the Nimitz encounters.
Interesting. Okay. Because this would be it would be a readiness drill. I mean, quite literally. It's like how do we react to something that we aren't told about? It's
While also unifying your soldiers, creating like this higher force sort of like feeling and experience, like essentially a fake alien invasion being portrayed upon the military by secret dark sect.
Yeah.
Why not test readiness? Exactly. Correct. So yeah. Anyway, that's my 3 cents on that. But it's interesting that you bring that up because there's a lot going on, and weirdly, it is all symbolic, right? What is a space force? You know, it's something that protects us from the land, from the sea, from the air, and from space. And so here we have, you know, a 4-level symbology of protection. You know, it's very subtle, but there is subtle symbology, right? And so this is obviously our topic tonight. We look at object symbology, and we were chatting earlier before we went live, and object symbology comes back around to something like the Statue of Liberty, right? And so most people look at this worldwide as, oh, it's a symbol of freedom, you know, but in reality, liberty is a nautical term. It's a nautical law term. And so when you pull into port or you berth into port and you give up your certificate of manifest or what you're carrying on your ship, your berth certificate, Jordan Maxwell, giving a shout out there to him bringing that forth. Your crew will ask the captain, do we have liberty to go ashore? Which means a short time shore leave. And so the Statue of Liberty is truly about that. It's, Captain, do I have the ability to come ashore, right? Okay.
Giving up your liberties to enter someone else's land.
Which is
you're
weird
no
because
longer your own sovereign.
You see it from the bottom, and it's the light bearer. And so strangely, this is also how Lucifer is portrayed. In Italy, there's a couple of statues of the Lucifer with the booklet and the torch and the corona, right? The crown, the sun crown, the sundial. And so it's fascinating that we're always looking up at the statue, but if you go above it and look down, he, she, it
is the Statue of Liberty, this Lilith Luciferian,
it's male, female, or androgyne, which is interesting. And so, but it's still shackled to the pedestal that's on top of that star fort that is Ellis Island. And you've got to just go, okay, if this is freedom, why is the Statue of Freedom shackled to the pedestal it's standing on, right? Ball and chain right there. And so that's interesting that we have this object of symbology. There's status symbol as well, right? Oh, I got my new Rolex.
In plain sight, right? That it's everything is backwards. They're spell casting down on society. Everything is backwards. World backwards spell casts, and
what is the English language?
They're cursing. They're cursing the world with their spells, essentially.
It's a spellcast language.
Yeah, exactly. Spellcast of hypnosis language to drone us and turn us into.
Do I have to spell this out for you? You know, I mean, there's strangely hostility in words, and we were also talking about this, and it's like, how do we recognize this hostility in words and change it? Oh, dude, you killed it last night on that podcast. that's that's a negative connotation, but we're so used to saying it, or that was the bomb, or this,
right?
that,
You're casting a spell. You're incarnating
literally are,
these
but
intentions and this curse, and that when you speak curse words, curse phrases, you are in fact putting out this energetic curse upon whatever energy you're putting it towards, whether it be yourself, others, your family, your friends, like the world, whatever it is. But when you're like, burn it all down, and then something explodes or breaks or crashes right around you,
so that's interesting you say that, because putting a curse is like putting a hex. And the hex symbology comes straight out of the ancient Saturnian symbology. And so Saturn was, Kronos to the Greeks. He was Baal to the Sumerians. This is where Babylon comes from. This is where El comes from. Baal. I mean, there's a lot of Saturnian symbology in that. And it's wow. Quite a fascinating. You're going to put a hex on somebody, and so if you look at other Saturnian symbology, you have the hexagram, which is the double triangle upside down and right side up triangle, which is the Star of David. This is a hexagram. You have the hexagon, which is the shape it makes inside of it. The hexagon is also a two-dimensional shape of a four-dimensional or three-dimensional object, or even a four-dimensional object for that matter, if there's a singularity in the middle. But that's the cube. And so the cube also becomes the hexagon. And so you look at Saturn and you have the hexagonal vortex of a storm that's happening at the North and the South Pole. And at the North Pole, it's visible because you have both one rotation,
right?
And rotation.
And that they're both on Jupiter and Saturn, and most likely Uranus.
All, yeah.
And then it's like, so what's actually at ours? Is there actually this vortex? Is it inner Earth potentially? Like what? It's very strange. And if you spin a sphere with water in it and just a little bit of air, when you spin it fast enough, the air goes to the center and it hollows out. Yeah, and it creates a toroid. And it's like, by that physics, we could be a toroidal world potentially. So then, if we are a toroid Earth, if we're toroid Earth, is garbage can Earth the closest thing and the missing butt plug taken out of the donuts? That is my question. Like, what?
There's a force field.
The geometry, I don't know, but it fascinates me. And mathematically, you can't really prove anyone wrong. It's kind of crazy.
It seems to be like they're filtering souls here, right? Like it's determining where you go to next, and it's designed that way. So, and with the whole cloning thing too, it's like how many of these people are clones? Like, is that why there's a firmament?
Yeah. All right. And I often think, so my talk with Joseph Farrell, I want to go back deeper into him next time on this plasma and consciousness. And then this, what he's found, this, wrote in his latest book of this potentially conscious plasma freaking giant galactic entity thing that's out in space or something that takes up 2/3 of the galaxy or something just crazy. It's you can envision it as potentially this massive goo of God or something, who knows, but just could that be? And then it's so plasma being a fourth state of matter and potentially conscious, is that what outer space could be? Or could it be this conscious timeless dimension compared to this third dimension reality that we are in?
So that's interesting. You bring up plasma as a consciousness, and so when you actually
I like that.
Study plasma, when it goes through its phases, it actually has consciousness. It reacts to its environment. I don't know if you've ever used like a Tesla coil or any of these things, but right there. Exactly. Bingo. So
have you ever seen like the lightning or the lights, like where it looks like
you just displayed a consciousness. It knew exactly
I
where
have
you're,
actually, now that you bring that up,
where your field
Julia.
was. So yes.
I think I have a picture right here.
Yeah. Right. The Carillion effect as well.
Correct.
With that aura too. And then I bring up the Alchemist minions
that's the
there.
simplest fact of the plasma, but it's like there's so much plasma
So
effect that could go on with that. Anyway.
exactly. And no, you're bang on. And that this the monoatomics, the Ormus, that is essentially another form
yes, exactly.
of plasma state when you have it activated. When it's in water, when you give it charge, a little bit of electricity in it, then it becomes alive, and it always self-organizes. And its self-organization, how it builds, how it forms, it's like it's conscious just to the degree of its entropy and self-organizing. It's just in structure and formation. It's just it's nuts to see and witness. And I'll be publishing a lot more of my alchemy research and experiments coming up. But let's go back to the symbols and the symbol side of alchemy.
So we went through an object as a symbol. So there's status symbols, right? A status symbol could be anything from, a new watch to your fancy car, a camel, a horse, farm, whatnot. Status symbols, there's a lot of connection there. In some elements, I was actually kind of rethinking a little bit more about the Statue of Liberty, and we were talking that it also symbolizes Columbia. And then we start to think about, we have the District of Columbia. We have the Columbia River, the Columbia Gorge out where I live. We have British Columbia. We have the nation of Columbia. I mean, it goes on and on and on. There's so much revolving.
Yes, sir. Where I'm at, next to British Columbia, and then where my family land is, I have to go through Columbia Lake and the beginning of the Columbia River. And that's really where my
who is Columbia, and why is this is a representation of the Statue of Liberty. So I just wanted to bring
exactly.
Yeah.
And Columbia, DC being the center of it all.
Correct.
Don't they say the Statue of Liberty is like an ode to Lucifer?
Well, it is. No, I mean, there's a statue in Italy. I was saying this when you were away. That is literally the same. And it's got the corona, the sun crown. It's holding the scriptures and the torch. And this is Lucifer. Lucifer is also Venus. Venus is also Columbia, Isis, Ishtar, so on and so forth. And so Inanna. And so the statue takes on both a male, female, and androgyny form. Yeah. So anyway, moving along. So we got status
symbols. Kind of key too, and that there seems to be this weird infatuation with that